Welcome back to the three-peat before it was cool. Is that what we're calling? We are now officially closer to a three-peat than any team in Super Bowl era history. So,
That's right. Sounds like another kind of random, somewhat meaningless stat.
yep, one more game, and then it wouldn't be
Another,
meaningless anymore.
it's just another Super Bowl. I don't know what you're talking about.
Just another
This
Super Bowl.
this is history. This is
Yeah. You
this
know
is
what's
just every given
interesting?
February.
Obviously, I saw this week that Jamar Chase, surprise, surprise, is rooting against the Chiefs.
Oh,
I know you're as surprised as I am. Uh, but
yeah.
Joe Burrow was basically asked about it, and he basically said, "Yeah, nobody's runs like if the Eagles can run the ball well, they'll win, but nobody seems to be able to run the ball in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. So I'm betting on the Chiefs. So I wonder if there's gonna be some
Oh,
tension in their
wow.
relationship.
Burrow gave there. I mean, maybe he's just kind of hedging his bets. He really doesn't want the Chiefs to win. But
Yeah,
Burrow seems to be a little bit more chilled than Jamar Chase has been
yeah,
about all this stuff. So yeah, it's
yep.
just you're like,
So
okay. Yeah, no, really good. I saw an article recently I thought was like pretty well written because it kind of addressed a lot of the ways that people have been approaching this, just with the refs and all the other crazy stuff that people are saying. And their point was like the Chiefs aren't hey cheating, they're just boring. Um, and to be fair, like that's kind of what we've become, right? Like we've
yeah,
become more of a we'll just churn it, move it down the field, kind of like Brady did, not make a lot of mistakes. Look, if everybody's going to play the defenses, the two high shell safeties, they're like, there's a safer, better, higher percentage chance throw somewhere else.
yeah.
So I'm not going to do
But
it. Also, we just don't have a Tyreek Hill anymore. So
yeah,
you don't have Tyreek, then
but
like
I
Justin Watson's great. I don't think we should be throwing to him 10 times a game.
Yeah, that's not a great recipe for us. But yeah, I saw two things this week that really put the things in perspective to me. The first was that, people would used to say the Chiefs get all the calls, and then it's proven that they're actually a more penalized team. And then people would say, well, the Chiefs get all the calls in the playoffs. But I saw this week that the majority of the penalties that opponents of the Chiefs get in the playoffs are false starts and delay of games. And so what that really tells you is the Chiefs play more home games in the playoffs than the average team, and it just shows that Arrowhead is OP.
Oh,
So, you know,
that's actually helpful for me. I was curious about that because
yeah,
I knew the regular season didn't make any sense. I wasn't sure about the postseason, but the fact that it's delay of games and stuff. Like, I mean, I think we talked about this. Like, Josh Allen gets more roughing the passer than Mahomes did. He just
yeah.
was
And Josh Allen flops more than Mahomes does too. Like,
right. I mean, it's
so
just what are you gonna do?
the other take I saw this week that was really dumb was people would say, "Oh, Mahomes will never be as good as Brady. You couldn't beat the Patriots, but you're not allowed to beat the Chiefs because they're cheating with the refs." And I was like, "That's the dumbest take I've ever heard, considering one of those two teams actually had two legitimate cheating scandals, and that was the Patriots."
Right.
And then people were
Right.
like, Tom Brady was never found guilty. And I was like, what do you think a suspension is, my dude? Like it's not like he
Yeah.
did broke the law, so it's not like he was going to go to jail, but it definitely was cheating. And so that's what being suspended is. So,
Yeah. I mean, he was vindicated because I think he won the Super Bowl that year, but
yeah.
that was the year. That was 2018, right? Like that was the year
Yeah, I think so. And I
they
remember
beat the.
Goodell probably felt really awkward handing him the trophy, at the end of the game, but you know, it
I
is what it
mean,
is.
they should have been there anyway. Thinking D Ford, but
Yeah.
whatever. It's a long time ago. Imagine
Yep.
how much people would hate us if we had won that year
Yeah.
too.
For real. You know what's
Man,
crazy? I just want to take a moment and reflect on this because, I think the Chiefs will win, but the Chiefs could lose on Sunday. The wheels could fall off the wagon and we could not be back in the Super Bowl for a number of years, right? Could happen. I don't suspect any of that's true. But what I'm realizing is this has been such a great time. Like you think about it, over the last 7 years, the only way Mahomes' season has ended that hasn't involved a Super Bowl is overtime loss in the AFC Championship twice, right?
Yeah,
Which, by the way, nobody cared when we lost to the Patriots with the old rules. It was when we beat the Bills of the championship. Okay, so there's that. But then, whether or not you think Mahomes is greater
I,
than Brady, go ahead.
I do think it's a combination
I
of
think
the
it's that
Chiefs,
was both
Patriots, and the
both
Bills.
years.
It was
Yeah,
the second time. It's just the second time they were just like,
yeah.
okay, we need to stop this
Oh,
because
this is a
that's dumb.
problem. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. But then, like, you think about it, the last 6 years, whether or not you think this dynasty is better than the Patriots, I think everybody could agree the last 6 years have been the best 6 years of anyone in the NFL era, right? Five Super Bowl appearances in 6 years,
yeah,
three wins already, maybe a four. Like, I just want to say, there's a good chance, even if we win this, that this is like the best football we see for a long for like this. It's going to be hard to beat this 6 years over the next 6 years, no matter what
sure.
happens. So I just want to say,
Yeah,
as somebody who thought the Chiefs might never win a playoff game in my life, what an incredible time to be a Chiefs fan. You know,
100%. Yeah,
like,
it's so hard to sometimes I forget those times, and obviously the common fan and some students, they're not going to remember that. But yeah, this is a wonderful time to be a Chiefs fan, and it's incredible. And honestly, like Mahomes is really good, but pretty likable. Like I think Andy Reid is very likable.
yeah,
Like like we just there's a lot of really cool personality. Travis Kelce, I mean, I don't know. He's kind of a punk and he does really dumb things sometimes, but he's pretty likable,
yeah.
you know?
And Andy
But
Reid's coming back for another season, already confirmed. Which
oh,
makes me
all
feel
right.
good because
Yeah.
Kelsey's already said he doesn't want to play for anyone else. So I thought if Andy Reid retires this year, I mean Kelsey still might choose to, but at the same time, it's like it feels like if that we win the Super Bowl, we'd be like, why don't we just go for four in a row now? Like just set the bar
Yeah.
so high. But anyway, at
I
least
think
Andy
I
Reid's
think
coming
he's gonna
back.
play until he's done playing. I don't know if he'd
I'm
be
not worried
like,
about him
"Oh, I've
going to
gotten three
another
Super
team.
Bowl wins. I three-peated. Now I'm done."
Yeah,
It's kind of cool to end the winner. Like I like to do that when I'm playing video games, is to end on a win
yeah,
and just be okay with it. But the I don't know if that's really it's not a good analogy to football life. It's going to be more of a man, this hurts too much kind of thing. Like,
yeah. And it seems like honestly, they've settled into a routine where they're like, we'll need you to step up sometimes, but like we're gonna take it easy on you until the postseason. And they're definitely limiting his snaps compared to before. So
no,
yeah.
that's actually not true. He's played more snaps this season
Oh,
than in a
really?
long
Okay, I
time,
remember.
but he's not playing. He's not getting as many catches, so he's not getting
Yeah,
hit as much.
that's true. And he
So,
does. I guess I always after he gets a big play, he always comes off for the next snap, and that's why I see him going off the
right.
field. But that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
So
that's just random fact of the game. That was
random fact of the game
random fact of the day.
brought to you by
So
Eric.
yeah, I think I don't know, were there any um yeah, I think that we've talked about all the games, right? Like have we
We didn't
talked
talk
about
about the Bills game. We didn't record last week
we didn't talk about the
because
Bills game. Oh, that's
no,
right, because we are going to talk about the Bills game and then talk about the Super Bowl. But
yeah,
didn't happen. That's life sometimes. So let's talk about the Bills game because
yeah,
lots of people are talking about the Bills game.
dude, it broke my expectations in a few ways. First of all, us getting a 3-and-out on their first drive,
Yeah,
and then there was a moment there where I was like, this game's about to get really out of hand. But then they scored right before half. Whereas like we went down the field and we scored, and then we're like, oh, we get the ball back at half, and then we blew coverage. Or actually, it wasn't. It was just a really good ball and really bad work by the defender. But
how
tough
high
game,
was your sweatometer throughout the game?
dude. I realized it was kind of funny that like yeah, it was the last couple drives. It was like oh man, real back and forth. It was like I just This is like I was standing the last like 5 minutes of the game because I just too nervous to sit.
Oh,
Um,
really? I wasn't actually that nervous. I feel like whenever we're playing well, that's good. Now, I was pretty nervous when we were up three and they had the ball,
yeah,
because obviously you can run out the clock and play out the clock and then score a touchdown potentially with no time left. Of course, they did that with 13 seconds, and
yeah,
but yeah, no, it was a good game. It was very competitive. I was very impressed by the way we were standing up to those fourth down
yep,
plays. And I'm not surprised that there was one that, though controversial, ultimately ended up going the Chiefs' way.
yeah,
I have looked at things online since then, and I think a big issue with some of the, commentating and the broadcast was that they were showing the wrong angles, which was something that really annoyed me about this last Super Bowl with the Eagles. Was on the holding call. You may not remember this, but the broadcast actually didn't show what the refs called holding. They showed a different part of the play, and they're like, "That's not holding," and it's like that's not what was being called. And then like you go back later, and they showed, oh, he had like grabbed some of the jersey, and there was a clear pick line of jersey that he had grabbed, and he was tugging on
yeah,
James Bradbury. So, which is again still seemed kind of minuscule, but whatever
yeah,
it was called. Same thing with the fourth down in the sense of like you had the wrong angle. You're looking at it at a slant, and it's gonna look right like it went over, even if it didn't quite, or if it was closer than the broadcast looked. So it was certainly not a third of a football across.
yeah,
Uh, and you just couldn't get a good view of it. And that's the risk when you always go for it on fourth. You don't have good line of vision on it, almost like a fumble recovery, right? Who knows what happens at the
yeah.
bottom of the pile. And so,
Well, and the bigger issue to me too is whether or not, you can be upset about that play. The Chiefs were just coached better for the game and they adapted better. Like the Bills, there was offsides on a field goal. They go for two, they don't convert. They go for two again later, they don't convert. They try a couple times, like they tried to go for two with a QB sneak and were denied. And the Chiefs just knew, like the commentators called it out, like the Chiefs just knew they always do it on this side. And so
yeah,
they just like, it's like
they're prepared.
in a
And
sense,
like,
if
yeah,
yeah. So I
yeah,
don't
we
have any
were
problems with the
close. Like it
calls.
wasn't, as much as people say he got over, it
Yeah.
was close. It was close enough that they kept the call on the field.
Well, because I texted you about this, because there was another bad call. It was 3rd and 10, where it was a point in the game where if the Chiefs go down the field and score, pretty much cements the game. And
Yeah,
the Chiefs were called for a false start when it pretty clearly was a neutral zone infraction.
yep,
And then you might think, well, that's only it's good. It was a 3rd and 10, but a 3rd and 15 is way different than a 3rd and 10, right?
yeah,
And so like, but nobody complains about that. Obviously, I'm complaining about it, but like it's
yeah.
like that
A lot
was
of
to me that was pretty blatant too, like a missed call. Um,
Yeah, and we want to be, we want to be good winners. Like,
yeah,
we're not trying to be obnoxious. We're just looking at it and being like, look, there's that. Now, another one that I thought was really weird was the catch, the Xavier Ward the catch, which Ty always goes, where it also looked like it hit the ground too. And I'm pretty sure that was reviewed as well. Like that was what was kind of weird about it was reviewed and still maintained as a catch. So I
well, when
thought that
I
was kind of
I don't know if this is true because people say things. What I heard was that they challenged that as an interception, and so you could only review what was being challenged. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, yeah, I wondered if that at the game. I didn't hear or the broadcast I didn't hear the broadcast say or that. So I wondered about that in the game. So yeah, that would make sense that they challenged the wrong thing
Yeah.
because you can't if it was an incomplete catch, the question was if they challenged it and saying our player had possession or should have gotten credit as an interception. Yeah, that makes sense.
When I don't know too in that instance because like people forget there's also a penalty on the defense. But I don't know in that instance if a penalty's called and declined, but then the call's overturned, if you can then take the penalty again. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that. So I'm not sure how
Sounds
that
kind of
would
weird.
work. Yeah.
Seems like that would be an option, but because like they're always like, "Hey, do you want this thing?" Right?
And then there was a game. What game was it the other day that's like a team changed their mind after like the team started to go out in a formation? I can't remember it. Maybe it was some game where it was basically like the coach said something. Maybe it was like the Broncos or something, and then like they changed their mind. They said, actually, wait, they decided to accept the penalty or something like that. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that. Like,
They accept the penalty. I do not accept the penalty, but actually, penalty. Yeah. Uh, well, it just gives a little bit of drama, for all the NFL scriptwriters
yeah,
that
got to
really
keep them
want
employed.
the Chiefs to be winning for some reason, even though, I mean, I think they get good viewership, but our market is still really small.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's sorry, I keep jumping back to the Super Bowl, but it's funny
yeah,
to me all the people who are boycotting because we all know that when at some point in the fourth quarter the Eagles are up because the Chiefs always win in dramatic fashion, everybody who says they're against the Chiefs, they're cheating, is going to tune back in to see the Chiefs lose, only to see the Chiefs win by making a fourth quarter comeback, right? Like at some point that's going to happen. And then people are like, dang it. Like I was tricked to watching the Chiefs.
you know, we dedicated our last one to all the Chiefs haters. I dedicate this to all the Super Bowl uh protesters.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure the people who do the Super Bowl are going to be like, all right, next time, make sure the Chiefs don't get to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
like
that's
it's
the
so funny.
hardest
It's
thing.
just like it's weird. Like I loved that Travis Kelce was asked like if you could say something in the media, what would you say? And he's like, why have you all bought into this whole the refs cheating thing?
Yeah.
Like
It's
he
because they
called them
lean
out.
into it
So
for
it was
views. It gets some views, right?
yeah, no, 100%. Like it's making people money. So of course you're going to address that. And like I feel like even the commentators are almost like getting into it. Like this is
Yeah.
like I don't mind them like saying it's,
Like,
calling
oh, there
bad
were
thing.
some
Maybe
bad
they're
calls,
not. Like
but
maybe it's just there. It just seems like there's been
there've definitely been
a lot of
some,
stuff or
but
like, with the Juwan Taylor stuff at the beginning of the year, like the
yeah.
commentators just getting a little bit too involved in such a way, like highlighting
Well,
something that's just not like everybody was jumping off sides or jumping
yeah.
ahead, false starting in that way. Everybody was lining up pretty far back. Like Jawan Taylor was not the only person doing it. It just like the
Yeah.
commentators just decided to talk about it the most.
It's because
And
people
then
like Skip Bayless get views from just making these really ridiculous statements, you know? Like,
yeah, maybe the Chiefs are still. And so like I don't know. It's just kind of funny how much money drives the sport, but I don't think it drives it in the way that people think, right? Like people are saying, well, the refs are bought out. That's why they're winning. It's like no, but there are certain trends and calls and things that become, we just talked about the Bills, that epic game between the Bills and the Chiefs that ended with, Josh Allen not getting a chance to go back,
yeah.
and that changes the rule, so
Yeah, I think like the other thing is people are like the Chiefs are paying the refs, and you're like the Eagles are worth way more than the Chiefs are, right? Like it's a small market team. The other thing that I don't think people realize is they think like, oh, the Chiefs paid, like there's no way that one team could get away with paying the refs without all the other owners being like, so if the NFL's rigged, your favorite team is part of that too.
yeah, they have
Like
to be.
they
Like
have
it's
to
it's
be.
huge. The conspiracy would have to be like,
And so then you're like, oh, the Chiefs only cheat so that it's like if the NFL is rigged, that means Josh Allen knows that he has to lose to Mahomes going in every year. And so then like if this is your whole conspiracy, it means your favorite team is just part of a elaborate act. So
yeah,
like either
yeah,
don't
like a
watch football or do.
WWE.
Like, yeah. It's like
Yeah,
there's no scenario where it's like the Chiefs pay the refs, and everybody knows they do, but there's nothing they can do about it. Like, you think the owners of this billions of dollar industry would be okay to let one team cheat?
Well,
Like,
especially with all the gambling, like there's no way you can do that.
yeah,
Like you just can't. Like they suspend a guy a year for gambling on totally different sports in the facilities.
yeah,
Like they would have zero tolerance for anything close to that. That team would get kicked out of the league,
yeah,
like immediately. Like it's just like
yeah,
anyway, it's just kind of silly and kind of ruining what's kind of a, going to be a good game, I think. I think it's good
yeah,
teams. It's better than other years where it was like a clearly inferior team or like one-sided um kind of thing you run into. And
yeah,
sometimes you just don't know how they're going to come back together. Like the Broncos against Seattle, where Seattle just destroyed the Broncos.
yeah.
Um, so you just don't ever know. But yeah,
So,
Josh Allen's so good. I kind of sorry that we kicked him out again. He's a nice guy. I hope he enjoys his
oh,
time with Haley Steinfeld.
yeah, I have good advice for Josh Allen to make the Super Bowl. He should go to an NFC team, and then at least he can lose to Mahomes in the Super Bowl. You know, um,
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I don't want to. We have beat them 4 times.
right?
Statistically, we will not beat them the next 4 times. I would,
Yeah, and
I would
obviously
bet.
I'm like making a
We're
joke
close
about it.
enough. They're all one-score games. This is not like we win one-score games against other teams that statistically we will beat 90 plus percent of the time,
Mm.
right? But it's just the way that we play. But
Yeah,
with the Bills, it's not statistically that way.
well, I think it's starting to get better too, but the real thing too is that the AFC has been much deeper at the quarterback position too over the
Yeah.
last few years, and so it just makes the competition harder. But
All the good quarterbacks are in the AC, which is funny.
yeah,
Like,
which going to the time of the Super Bowl, obviously
sorry,
like
I have
team.
some brother
Oh,
wonders,
go let's go to Brother Wonders then.
which are related to Super Bowl.
Great.
So, brother wonders, over under 250 passing yards for Mahomes.
Probably
Has to
over.
be over.
Yeah.
Like their run defense is too good. Our run offense is not that good.
I think the
And I think
majority of the
they're going to
run
make it
yards,
work.
yeah,
What?
most of the run yards will come from Mahomes, I think, in the game. He'll have the most rushing yards in the game for the Chiefs, I think.
Yeah. I'm Mahomes passing yards in the
Which,
Bucks
while you look that
Super
up, let me
Bowl.
just say, if you said before the AFC Championship, one
Okay.
quarterback will rush for 2 touchdowns, everybody would have thought you were talking about Josh Allen. But Mahomes was the one. So anyway,
Yeah, the design run and stuff. Yeah, they're
yeah,
they're definitely pulling out some stuff. I mean, it's not like they don't try in the regular season,
yeah.
but there's always
Anyway,
a wrinkle there. And the way they set up that last blitz, I mean, that's been covered a lot. So if you've watched any videos, you probably talked about, but like, the entire time they're blitzing off the strong side until the last play of the game, or, for the Bills, the
yeah,
Bills' last play. And they look at it and it's um, it looks, he's like, well, everybody shift to the strong side, go to the left. And nope, we were blitzing off the right side. Like, and none of our blitz were really effective. He was 8 for 8 against all of our blitzes. Like, I think maybe one or two didn't get the first down, but like, it's just so funny how Spags will like set you up an entire game for
yeah,
that one play, and
yep,
it's worth it because we got it. We had like 3 free rushers on Josh Allen. Like,
yeah,
like
yep,
it's insane. It's insane. And people are like, how did Chris Jones not get touched? And it's like we were setting him up, or this other stuff.
You played yourself.
So to I'm just gonna say my brother wonders. I would say like I don't know if that's because like just betting or just curious. Even in that Bucks Super Bowl game where we were got destroyed, Mahomes had 270 yards passing.
Yeah.
So I think it's a safe bet. I mean, it could become a defensive game, but and we play a lot different than we did at that time too. But
This,
I think it's a pretty safe bet. Just based, I really am not sure we can run. I'm a little worried about that for our offense. Not that we really need to run super effectively, but this is a pretty tough Philly line defensively. Jalen Carter is no joke, and our offensive line is stable but not impressive, obviously, when you have your guard playing as tackle.
mhm.
So that's the thing I'm kind of looking at. I'm like, I don't know if we're going to be able to run enough.
And this,
And that's how I would see us losing.
this might be a weird take, but I also feel like if we have 30 rushing attempts in the game, it probably means that we're holding the Eagles on defense pretty well. Because if we're trying to rush that much and we're not just forced to pass all game, it
Yeah,
probably means that we're keeping it close. But
maybe. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We're not we've never been an explosive run offense, so
yeah,
as long as we can keep getting the 3 or 4 yards, generally we get, we'll be good. Do you think Saquon will have more than 100 rushing yards? No, I think he'll get more than 100 total yards.
yeah, I'll grant
Um,
that.
but I think the Chiefs will limit that. I think that if I'm going to pick one thing, well, let me ask you, like, so if you're going to take away one thing from the Eagles, what do you take away?
Yeah, the
Joel, you're
run,
Steve Spagnuolo.
the run.
Saquon, right?
Yeah,
Right. And because that also somewhat impacts Jalen Hurts rushing, probably,
yeah.
which Jalen Hurts has
Well,
not been an effective rusher against the Chiefs in the Super Bowls,
when
last Super Bowl or playoff.
I saw this week, and obviously there'll probably be an instance where it's a fake to Saquon and Hertz gets a few yards, but the Eagles are 32nd in passing attempts this year, which means that they're the
Yeah.
worst and like they pass the least. So if you take away, the run, especially from Saquon, you're forcing them to play an entirely different football game than what
Yep.
they're used to. Now that's obviously easier said than done, but
Yeah. Easier said than done, but it is possible to scheme out. Now, AJ Brown, really hard to play 1-on-1. So, I mean, you're probably basically manning up if you're trying to take outs. If you're putting one person on Saquon and an extra person, bracketing AJ Brown. So we'll see kind of what their plan is, but I think the key to shutting down Philadelphia is to make Jalen Hurts beat you. It's what we did the last Super Bowl, and he did really, really well. He actually doesn't have a lot of games like that though. So if I'm playing Mahomes' arm versus Hurts' arm, I'm going to take that any day of the game, any day of the week, and live with the consequences, right? Like if we
mhm,
lose because Jalen Hurts balls out, okay. But if we lose because of Saquon running all over us, that's going to be on us probably.
yeah.
We'll see. Do you think we'll be able to stop the tush push one or more times?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on how, if it's inches, it's really hard to stop.
Yeah,
And I'm sure Philadelphia has been practicing doing it different sides of the ball this week, probably, but
yeah.
in tight games that they're going to try to. So I think we'll be able to stop it. I think we'll be able to stop it once. And honestly, the thing is, in those instances, you only need to stop it once because they're going for it on fourth. Like it often is a play where you think you're going to get it, and if you stop it, then suddenly it can be a big deal, right? It either turns over the ball somewhere where they didn't want it, or it stops them from scoring. That ends up possession in the red zone that they didn't get a score
Right.
with. So I
I
feel
mean,
more
I think
confident we can stop it this year than I did when we played them 2 years ago. So
okay. Yeah, I mean they had Jason Kelsey, and it was just hard to get through that. Yeah, I think the way that I've seen it this year, I haven't paid attention to the percentage of it. It seems like it's just a little bit clunky at times, and they've made a couple mistakes. Um, I think we could stop it once. I don't think us stopping Josh Allen and the Bills translates really to being able to do it, other than the fact that it's like, oh, we paid attention to what they were do, Josh Allen was doing and had
Hmm.
a game plan for that. But ultimately, most of the time in those situations, you've already lost anyway. Like if it's a goal line, oh,
Yeah.
okay, they're gonna get it eventually. Um, so we'll see kind of like if it ends up being the third down or the fourth down, right? High leverage situations.
Hmm.
And really the other thing is like a lot of times like if you're tush pushing it, you could have gotten it a lot of ways. Like you could have gotten that 1 yard a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's kind of, and I haven't watched them a ton this year. It's kind of an interesting thing to do. Like, we're gonna tush push when we also have the best rusher in the league, in Saquon Barkley. It's just like an interesting concept. But I guess it works 92% of the time. So,
As long as you don't lose like the Seattle did to the Patriots with Marshawn Lynch sitting on the sidelines watching
yeah,
Russell Wilson throw an interception.
I could definitely see them trying a fake tush push, and it would either work really well or would backfire horribly,
I
you know.
mean, we'll see kind of how that goes. You think what is your favorite Super Bowl snack?
Um, Wings are a pretty good Super Bowl snack.
Wings.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've done different
Yeah,
things every year,
I just
based
feel
with
like yeah, sorry.
um, pizza is another classic, but I don't know.
I think the more it feels like something I would eat that's not a Super Bowl, the more I like it.
Mm. Profound
Since
words.
even wings and stuff, I guess I'm just old.
Mm.
My heartburn.
Yeah,
It says like, I mean, wings are good. Like, growing up, I probably would have been like 100% wings or, whatever. But
yeah.
think, I think
Now
it's
you're
like
like
the
cranberry
least
juice.
greasy, like, what I mean? The carrot sticks,
Yeah.
celery.
Oh, I'm gonna eat some celery and cranberry juice for my Super Bowl party. Drink a cup of tea with my
Mahomes,
pinky out.
Mahomes is going to be playing when he's 45, like 50 years old, going like, yep. And I'll be
Uh,
like flapping along.
yep.
Any, do you have any thoughts about the game or any matchups that you've read about or just kind of looking towards
Yeah,
key?
it sounds like, well, I heard conflicting reports, but I think the consensus I've gotten more of is that the Eagles play a lot of zone. Um, but I'm not sure if that's because it's like
On
I
defense?
on defense.
No, well, I think it's the opposite of what I've heard.
See, I
Is
heard
that
like two different things, and so that's why I'm confused. But um,
yeah, they're doing a good bit of man because they have really good corners that are
okay,
sticking to people. Again, hope hopefully we're not leading people straight, but yeah, a lot of man coverage
I've heard
with
one of their
one.
corners is pretty fast, so he'll probably be on Hollywood Brown. But I think
Yeah,
like because Hollywood Brown's usually the deep threat, but I think Xavier Worthy is actually a really, if he has a great game, I think that's really good for us. Like I think he is a potential mismatch in
I
that.
think we're going to keep doing what we did to the Bills. Their defensive line's really good, so it'll be get out of Mahomes' hands
Hmm.
and just try to scheme our way through it. And RPOs, quick passes, looking for Hollywood Brown for 8 yards,
Yeah.
or Travis Kelce for 5 or whatever it is. And we're just going to win if we win, doing the same thing we've always done this whole year, limiting the number of drives, just moving our way down the field, making less mistakes than the other people. Maybe one extra turnover over them, but nothing more than that.
Mhm.
And that's how you win, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the Chiefs have been doing. So it's kind of boring. What's worse than cheater? A boring team to watch. And I don't know if that I would say it's boring. But I think it's also just a product of how the defenses have been playing them.
Yeah.
If the defenses go to more man stuff, maybe Mahomes can bring in some of that fun. But our offensive line, I don't think he can trust it. Like Joe Tooney, it's been good, but he dies a slow death every play.
Yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
Caliendo, we'll see if Jalen Carter moves to his side. try to take advantage of the rookie.
Hmm.
Um, that could be pretty bad if we start having a lot of stuff up, pressure up the middle, because that's something Mahomes
Yeah.
can't scramble away from. So,
Yep. And I think, I mean, we're getting the ball out quickly, like we did it. I think if we just keep doing that, then and obviously our O line leaves a lot to be desired, but it's better than it was in the most of the regular season. The adjustments they've made have made, he doesn't need a lot of time. He just needs a little bit of time.
yeah,
And we'll see.
function,
The other
functional.
thing I think that's like we take for granted that's like hard for the other team to prepare is that Chris Jones is like one of the only elite rushers who can line up anywhere and be effective. Like like Miles Garrett's, incredible. TJ Watt's incredible. They always line up in the same spot.
Yep.
Chris Jones is like, I'm gonna destroy you from the middle today. Maybe I try the outside, you know. But
Yeah. He did it a little too much, I think, when he first started doing that, but I think he's got a lot more balance and
yeah.
only goes the outside on third downs for the most part. And
And Furious George has really stepped up this year, So
Furious George.
that's what they call him. Furious George Karlaftis.
Oh,
Yeah. If you
I
didn't
I
know.
actually for some reason that didn't stick in my brain, but
Yeah.
or I remember hearing that. But George Karlaftis has been good. Again, it probably benefits from being close to Chris Jones,
Yeah, for sure.
but
I
he's
would
good.
benefit from being close to Chris Jones. I might even get a sack if I was lining up next to him.
I
So,
mean, it would depend on the quarterback.
yeah. Justin
I don't.
Fields definitely because he'd hold the ball for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, maybe
So,
it Justin Fields, but yeah. Well, I think it's gonna be an exciting game, and I'm sorry for people that don't want to see it like these teams. I think part of it is a product of your own like attitudes and approach. Like I would love to see other teams be in more Super Bowls or and I think of like how dominant Alabama was for a while
mhm.
for college. Like there's all sorts of dynasties. It's not super fun to see every year. I think the only dynasties I really enjoyed watching was when it was like LeBron James versus the Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So,
But anyway, but so I get that. I remember the Patriots, but Chiefs haven't been convicted of cheating in any way as a team. So you can keep saying they're buying the refs, but it makes no sense. You can keep saying we're tired of them winning, and that makes sense. And you can say they're kind of boring, and that makes sense.
yeah,
But there's also a level like there is some intricacy and some brilliance what Andy Reid is doing, and he's a really likable guy.
for
So
sure.
next time when you watch the Super Bowl, yeah, as long as you're not protesting, doing I don't know what you're gonna do while everybody else is watching the Super Bowl, but you do you away from the Super Bowl. Uh just think about Andy Reid's, lovable face. And maybe something will be moved in your heart, like or bowels or stomach or something. And you will be able to enjoy watching this nice guy methodically tear apart the Eagles and ruin yet another, budding, good young players' hopes at winning a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is a good player, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. So